Bugatti built this car for exactly one person, and it might be the most personal hypercar ever made. The hypercar world has an exclusivity problem, and it's a strange one to have. When every manufacturer above a certain price point is producing one-offs, limited series, and bespoke commissions as a matter of routine, the word exclusive starts to lose its meaning. It becomes marketing language rather than a factual description, a way of suggesting rarity rather than actually delivering it. Numbers get smaller and prices get larger, but the underlying logic remains the same. Make enough of them to generate revenue, call it exclusive, and move on. Against that backdrop, what Bugatti has created with the W16 Mistral La Perle Rare stands apart in a way that genuinely justifies the attention, because this isn't a limited series of 20 or a special edition of 5. It's one car built for one person with a painted finish that Bugatti has formally confirmed will never be replicated on any other vehicle for any reason under any circumstances. 1. Full stop. The story begins, as the best automotive stories sometimes do, with a conversation at Pebble Beach. The Concours d'Elegance in 2023 was where a client sat down with Bugatti's team and began articulating a vision. Not a specification list, not a color preference, but an actual creative vision for a vehicle that would function as a private art commission as much as a performance machine. The client wanted subtlety rather than spectacle, restraint rather than excess, and a result that felt designed rather than assembled from available options. Bugatti's sur-mesure division, which exists precisely for commissions of this depth and ambition, took that brief back to Molsheim and began translating an abstract idea into something that would eventually sit in a garage somewhere in the world as a singular, irreplicable object. The creative process took time and went through genuine evolution rather than arriving quickly at the finished result. Early directions explored silver tones before the thinking shifted toward various interpretations of white, and the final aesthetic, named Vagues de Lumière, which translates as waves of light, emerged from that exploration as something considerably more sophisticated than a paint color choice. What makes the Vagues de Lumière finish genuinely remarkable is that it isn't a paint scheme in any conventional sense. It's a hand-painted composition. Every line, every gradient, every tonal transition across the bodywork was applied manually by skilled artisans working through hundreds of hours of painstaking labor. The result is a surface that behaves more like a canvas than automotive bodywork, something that shifts and changes under different lighting conditions in the way that a great painting rewards close and repeated looking rather than a single glance. The guarantee that this specific composition will never appear on another vehicle isn't a marketing statement, it's a commitment with real weight behind it, and it reframes the entire concept of what a bespoke finish can mean in this context. The color language across the exterior is built on deliberate contrast and careful balance. Upper bodywork carries a gold-infused bespoke hue that radiates warmth and depth, changing character as the light changes around it in a way that photographs can suggest but never fully capture. Below, a warm white finish grounds the design and creates a layered effect that emphasizes the Mistral's roadster form rather than obscuring it. Both colors are exclusive to this commission. They exist nowhere else in Bugatti's palette and will continue to exist nowhere else. And they extend seamlessly to the diamond-cut alloy wheels, creating the kind of visual unity that happens when every element of a design has been considered in relation to every other element rather than chosen independently. Nothing about the exterior looks added or applied. Everything looks composed, which is precisely the effect that hundreds of hours of handwork and obsessive attention to detail produces when the people doing it are genuinely skilled.
The interior follows the same philosophy with the same discipline, which matters because interiors are where bespoke projects frequently lose their coherence. It's easy to apply an exterior theme convincingly and then fill the cabin with luxury materials that feel expensive but not necessarily connected to what's happening outside. That hasn't happened here. White upholstery forms the foundation of the cabin, a choice that requires confidence to commit to, because white interiors are unforgiving and demand exactly the kind of craftsmanship that Bugatti's team has applied throughout. Warm gold inserts introduce richness at carefully considered points without overwhelming the space or tipping into ostentation. Ambient lighting enhances the atmosphere rather than performing for it, and machined, polished aluminum accents provide a tactile contrast that reminds you constantly that you are sitting inside something with serious mechanical pedigree behind the artistry. The result occupies a specific and unusual space. It feels designed rather than decorated, curated rather than loaded, which is considerably harder to achieve than throwing expensive materials at a cabin and calling it luxury. Symbolic details appear throughout the vehicle in a way that rewards discovery rather than demanding attention. Rembrandt Bugatti's iconic dancing elephant sculpture, a connection to the brand's artistic heritage that predates the automotive company itself, appears on the gear selector, the headrests, and the front fenders. A discreet Perle Rare signature is placed on the central tunnel, the engine cover, and beneath the active rear wing. These aren't badges in the conventional automotive sense. They're quiet confirmations of provenance, the kind of marking that means something to the person who owns the car and contributes to the object's identity without shouting about it to anyone who happens to walk past. In a world of large logos and prominent branding, that restraint is itself a statement about what this car is and who it was made for. Under everything, the mechanical foundation is the same quad-turbocharged 8.0-liter W16 engine that defines Bugatti's modern era. 1,579 horsepower, 1,600 newton-meters of torque. Zero electrification, zero hybrid assistance, zero compromise on the purity of the powertrain philosophy. This is the final chapter of the W16 story in open-top form, and Bugatti has treated that fact with the seriousness it deserves. The W16 Mistral platform carries real performance credentials to go alongside its artistic ambitions. In 2024, a world record car edition of the Mistral achieved 453.91 kilometers per hour at the Papenburg test track in Germany, securing the title of the fastest open-top production car in the world. That record belongs to the platform that Perle Rare is built on, which means the artistry and the hand-painted canvas are sitting on top of engineering that represents the absolute pinnacle of what internal combustion open-top performance has ever achieved. The interesting tension in a car like this is between that theoretical capability and its practical purpose, and it's a tension worth sitting with rather than resolving too quickly. The thought of taking a vehicle with hundreds of hours of hand-painted bodywork to the kind of velocities the W16 is capable of, the road debris, the turbulence, the environmental exposure at those speeds, highlights something important about what Perle Rare actually is and what it was made for. It's not defined by speed figures or track times. It exists to express taste, to demonstrate what the relationship between a client and a manufacturer can produce when both sides bring genuine vision to the conversation, and to prove the true exclusivity in the automotive world isn't about limiting production numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about intent. Bugatti hasn't disclosed the final price, though it's understood to exceed the W16 Mistral's €5 million starting point by a margin that reflects everything described above: the handwork, the exclusivity guarantees, the material choices, and the depth of the sur-mesure process. In the world this car inhabits, that figure matters less than you might expect. The conversation at this level has moved entirely beyond value in the conventional sense and into a territory where uniqueness, provenance, and the certainty of irreplicability are the only currencies that actually count. The person who commissioned Perle Rare wasn't buying a hypercar in the way most people buy cars, weighing specification against price against alternatives. They were commissioning an artifact, placing it in the same conceptual space as a significant piece of private art or haute couture, something made specifically and completely for one person, reflecting that person's vision and guaranteed to remain singular as long as it exists. That's a different thing from a limited edition. It's a different thing from a one-of-one special with a unique paint code chosen from an existing palette. It's the result of a conversation that started at Pebble Beach in 2023, traveled through months of design exploration in Molsheim, and ended with hundreds of hours of hand-painted artistry on a machine that holds the world record for open-top speed. Whether you find that extraordinary or absurd probably says something about your relationship with both art and performance, but it's difficult to argue that Bugatti hasn't delivered precisely what it set out to create, something that genuinely, completely, and permanently belongs to one person alone.